Hi, welcome to Landscapes with Laurel. One of my favorite things about my landscape are my raspberry plants. I got them years ago when we moved into the house from a neighbor who got them from their grandmother's house. And little did I know at that time what a blessing those 3 small plants would be. I didn't know anything about growing raspberries, but I was willing to learn. And those 3 small raspberry plants have turned into a plethora of raspberry bushes that surround my garden and my chicken coop area. Now I love raspberries, but I can't eat that many. And after we've given them away to neighbors, we've had as much raspberries and ice cream as we can possibly stand, I freeze the rest. All I do is just wash the raspberries, put them in some quart freezer bags, and then just stick them in the freezer so that I can make jam when it's more convenient for me. I've already thawed some frozen bags of raspberries, and so I'm ready to go. Let's go make some jam. Okay, so what I do is after I rinse the raspberries and they're all clean, I put them in a quart bag and in a freezer bag. And I freeze them, and then when they're thawed, I bring them out and I mash the berries. Having them in these bags makes this part so much easier because you need to have mashed berries to make your jam. And it's a lot harder to mash the fresh raspberries. So this is another reason I like to freeze it and do my jam later. As you can see, it's just a lot simpler. Smash them out. You've got everything you need. Okay, so after they're all mashed, just pour them into the bowl, and then you'll be able to measure everything that you need. It's just a beautiful mess of mashed raspberries. So when you've put all of your smashed berries in the bowl, just stir them up a little bit just to mix everything up because the liquid does separate a little bit. I just follow the recipe on the Sure package. This time I'm using the low sugar recipe. And so you just stir it up, and it's calling for, each package is calling for 4 cups of berries on this one. So I'm gonna see if I can get 3 out of this one. It doesn't have to be exact, but let's see how many I can get. 1, 2, 3, 4, 12. A little bit of berries left. I'm just gonna save that, put it back in a bag, put it in the fridge, and then I'll bring some more bags out to make some more jam a little bit later. So we'll save that and use that. Okay, so now it's time to add the sugar. And believe it or not, this is the low sugar recipe. So you can imagine how much sugar goes in the regular recipe. But we're gonna need to put 9 cups of sugar into the mix. So again, it doesn't have to be super exact. I want to use up all that's in here. So there's 1, 2, 3, 9. All right. Okay, so that's a lot of sugar. You'll just mix it up. And then once it's mixed up, you'll need to let it stand for several minutes. I believe it's about 20 minutes. Just let it stand so that you can keep stirring occasionally so that the sugar gets all dissolved, because you don't want your jam turning to sugar, a big sugar clump. So you need to make sure that all of the sugar is dissolved and mixed in. You can see clumps of sugar there. So you just keep mixing and stirring every few minutes, letting it settle in a little bit and stirring again. So the jars that I use are just regular jelly jars. You can buy these at the store. They come with the lids. I'm washing them now. But I've also found that I love to just recycle the ones that I've already got. Some of these are just jelly jars that I've already had. I washed them out. This one I got from a neighbor who put honey in it that I got, so I have some local honey that I use. This is a little bit smaller one. This one obviously kind of matches that. This is actually a relish jar that I got, and you can use these to give the gifts, because frankly, the neighbors don't care what the jar looks like. They care about the jam inside. So, you know, reuse anything that you have in your house. Start saving those jars that you use that are in the refrigerator after your relish is gone, or whatever you've got in those little jars. They make great jam jars later on. So it saves you a lot of money, and the neighbors really don't care. So you can see, this has been sitting for about 10 minutes now, and it's just getting thicker just by having the sugar in there. But you need to keep stirring it, and if you can kind of feel the sugar in the bottom, you just want to make sure you don't have any granules left. So just keep stirring, and you'll see it getting thicker and thicker. Okay, so all of the sugar is dissolved, and I've fixed the pectin, and I'm just pouring that in here now, scraping it out. That will make the jam thick. So you just stir that in. And just keep mixing it. You know, as I was thinking about the raspberries, I was thinking about how I pick the raspberries and how I harvest them. And one thing that I learned this summer is that you can't get all the raspberries if you look at it from one angle. If you're only looking at it from the top, you're going to miss most of the berries. You'll get to see a few, but you won't be able to get all of them. You need to get down, you need to look up, you need to look at all of the berries from a different angle, and you'll be able to get many, many berries. In fact, one of our biggest harvests for probably about a week, we would get like 3 or 4 big bowls full of berry every day. It was amazing. So, and that was because we looked under and we looked over and we lifted up the leaves, and we just got as many berries as we possibly can. So I was kind of thinking about that it's like, kind of like life, that if we only have one perspective on something, we're missing out on a whole bunch of richness. We need to be able to look at things, ideas, people, whatever, from a different perspective, just to make it more enriching, so that we have more that we are able to glean from. Having one perspective is never very helpful if you want to harvest big. What I do is I just scoop up what we need. Don't fill it all the way to the top, because you want to make sure that there's a little bit of space for your lid. So I fill them about that high. And you just give it out. And then just fill all of your jars. Whoops. So after you filled all of your jars, just get a damp paper towel and wipe around the top. You can see there's going to be a little bit of stuff on some of them. That helps so the lids can stay on tighter, and that the rims don't go around and get stuck and make a big mess. So just clean them off, go around all of them. Clean up any mess that might have spilled down the side. Do good. So when you've wiped down all of the jars and they're ready to get the lids on, go ahead and just put the lids. I just save the lids that are already on the jars. These are the ones that the honey came in, so I just put that on there. If you're using it for yourself, go ahead and use the lids that came with the relish or whatever you bought that in. Those are good to keep. And then I also have just the regular lids, the canning lids. I like to warm them up a little bit because it does help with the seal a little bit. It doesn't have to be completely sealed like when you're putting up preserves, peaches, or anything like that. But just put that on and seal that on. And then, oh, they're over here. All right. So just seal that on and then just put the cap on. And that'll be good. These are all gonna go in the freezer, so you don't have to worry about anything on that. So after you put all of the lids on, just let them sit out for about 24 hours, and that'll help them set up. You can see these are already starting to set up right now. They're not as liquidy as they were before. Just let them sit on the counter, and then you can put them in the freezer and put the labels on and send them out for the gifts that you want. But that's as easy it is to make freezer jam. This one, it's only half full, I'm going to use for ice cream tonight. So as you can see, it's the next day, and all the freezer jam has been put in the bottles, and it's ready to go into the freezer. And just remember, it can last in the refrigerator after you take it out of the freezer for just about 2 weeks. So you don't want to do much more than that. So that's why I like to make smaller jars. You can hand these out to your neighbors now if you want to, but just make sure that they put them in the refrigerator today or in the freezer. And you can put bows on them. They're very simple, taste delicious. Your neighbors are going to love you for these wonderful, easy Christmas gifts. So if you have a neighbor or a friend or anybody who offers you raspberries and you're not quite sure if you want them or not, you want them. Make sure you plant them next spring, and we'll talk later. So thanks for joining me again today. Keep growing.